ignorance is bliss. Enjoy it as much as you can, and ask all the questions you can.
Please.
Having trailed through the acts of the Lateran Synod, the obvious question now is: did Bede swipe anything else out of the same?
He may have, but I have not found it yet.
Sounds like it's an interesting
it's a
research.
Topic for further research, and this is, by the way, a very good time to do research in Bede, because our generation have so much more resources for doing Bede's work than our fathers and grandfathers. Except for good editions of Bede's history, Charles Plummer and Colgrave and Miner's edition, and good editions of his Acts of the Apostles and Lives of St. Cuthbert, we have had to depend on the editions in Patrologia Latina, which were based on an editor, Giles, whose first name I can't remember, who wasn't competent. The major problem with Patrologia Latina is it's got all kinds of stuff in it that are attributed to Bede but weren't his. Michael Gorham made all the distinctions and has published a very long article on what was Bede's and what wasn't. But we have good resources now that our fathers did not have. We have the volumes in the series Corpus Christiana, Series Latina. We have some very good translations by the Cistercian publications and the translated text of historians of Liverpool University Press. And we have two very good reference books. One by Michael Lepage called Anglo-Saxon Libraries. Every library should have one. And the other by Michael Lepage and Helmut Gunis, which is a bibliography of English manuscripts, with some brilliant stuff in it. So we have resources that other generations do not have, so we should actually be using them and doing all kinds of work in Bede. So if you want to go out and do it, I encourage you to do it. But that's getting away from you asking me questions, isn't it?
I was just wondering, does Bede, in his commentaries, as far as you know, does he make use of the distinction of apophatic and caliphatic theology that is so characteristic of Pseudo-Dionysius? Because that would be a giveaway that he had read more of him than...
I think you're right, it's such a giveaway. Just off the cuff, I cannot remember him using either of those two terms, but certainly his biblical commentary covers enormous fields, and he could be there. It's not something I've noticed in passing, but next I do. But you're right, it would be a good giveaway. Sir?
I have a question. My name is Jeffrey. I'm from a different direction, anthropology and chaplaincy, but one of the things is that I don't know how much of the Dionysius work is still extant today. So how much we actually have of the Dionysius, any texts? Are there any?
We have the translations of all of the known works in the classics of Western spirituality.
We do?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume that they're good translations. My Greek is not good enough to do it myself. And of course, there's likely to be the full works in sources chrétiennes with French and Greek, but I don't know that for a fact.
I guess my question is more along with yours is what we have nowadays. With the, even back in with the Hagnamni and all the texts that we now have from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th centuries that we didn't have before. We're sitting with many texts. Are these shining any light on the text of Dionysius?
Unfortunately, I can't answer your question.
It's just an interesting question.
I think it's a question that's worth pursuing. I can't answer it because I'm not an expert in Dionysius.
Yeah. Well, my basic line is that you only have the knowledge that you have, so who has that knowledge and works with it, and when it comes into play?
So Aquinas actually quotes Pseudo-Dionysius more than any other church father.
Really?
It's really, yeah. So he's very present in the West, and of course the very confusion with Denis, Paris, we were talking about earlier, leads Sabbath Sujet to basically create the Gothic style inspired by the mysticism of light. So it's a hugely influential thing, but it's shadowy in the sense that most people in the West even have not, if even people who know Aquinas wouldn't realize that fact I just mentioned, that he's filtered literally through other figures rather than being something that people have engaged with directly.
Yeah.
Now, earlier than that, there's an Irish scholar who translated Dionysius into Latin. Yes. Yes. Now, I do not know whether he met Dionysius in Ireland or where he met him when he got
But
to the
this is
continent.
when you were saying about Eugene is born 100 years after Bede's death.
Mhm.
So within a century, something happens in terms of. Eugene was absolutely solid in his Greek. So he got a Greek education somewhere. The Irish monasteries were a hotbed of scholarship and learning. So it's an incredible period to kind of look at with all that influence. But to just answer the question here about earlier from the 5th century texts, they wouldn't have any reference to Dionysian material. We absolutely know Dionysius couldn't have been before the 5th century. He quotes large sections of Plotinus.
Yes.
So if you have Plotinus dated at a fairly solid date, then he has to have been after, because he just lifts his text.
Got it. I was only thinking of what that. In other words, he would have had those texts. Dionysius would have had the texts in the 4th and 5th century when he lived. He would have had all those texts from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, which we now are looking at. So I would think that he would have that knowledge, which then sort of disappeared for a little while. Just a question.
There is a sad habit of things to going on the back shelves in libraries
Yeah, I know
and being
that
ignored,
well, yeah.
being neglected, ignored. There's a question in the back row, please.
Oh, this is more personal to see how a little peek inside your brain. But we see that through all of you're an expert on Bede and your reading, and he must have referenced patristic fathers before, but what was it specifically that just caught you to want to go deeper in his mention of Dionysius? What was that in you that made you go, something is here and I need to investigate this?
It started with first finding that reference, and then finding the notion that nobody knew Dionysius in the West at that time. And I said, this does not add up, and I thought I'd see what I could find. And you've heard what I found today.
You weren't just walking on water one day?
Yes.
There's got to be a precedent for this.
I will tell you, sir, that I have walked on water in the sense that when I was in the army, my feet got very badly blistered, and I walked on that kind of water. But just
in frozen Lake Winnipeg.
I stay off frozen Lake Winnipeg because people have been known to fall through the ice. Now, returning briefly to the subject of Greek, there are some scholars that are convinced that Bede knew some Greek. I've written a note on that, which is being published by the Canadian Journal of Orthodox Christianity. His knowledge of Greek is, of course, with the Acts of the Apostles, because I said he seems to have had a Greek-Latin text. He started off with the normal glossary kind of knowledge of Greek, these words. Apparently, according to the experts, he got to the point towards the end where he could actually read Greek and understand sentence structure in Greek. I don't think he could actually write it, but at least he could read it comfortably. Right. I speculate in that article, which I hope you'll all read, that he got his interest in Greek from his abbots, Benedict Biscop and Ceolfrith, who by their knowledge of Theodore of Tarsus met someone who could speak and read and write Greek. Then again, stressing the importance of Ceolfrith. Does that help? This is getting much more fun.
I think we underestimate how cosmopolitan the first millennium of Christianity was. So people really were going from one end of the known world to the other and ministering in different places. And in this case of Theodore, you mentioned that the migration of text, migration of people, and how the various Christian traditions actually influence one another in profound ways. And that needs to be teased out. Like we think of Latin Christendom or Syriac Christendom or Greek Christendom. In fact, say Maximus was in Rome and Theodore was in England, and these texts are being read and translated, and so everything is connected to everything else.
To continue the theme of connectedness, Bede certainly spent all of his life in Jarrow and Wearmouth, except for maybe 1 or 2 trips to York, and very likely a trip to Lindisfarne when he was researching his life of St. Cuthbert. He went no further. But Jarrow and Wearmouth were not on the edge of the known world. They were on major communication routes by boat. They had connections with Ireland. Adolphin of Iona came there one day to call and brought a book with him. They had connections with Rome through Benedict Biscop, who went to Rome 5 or 6 times that I can think of, and spent 2 years at the Ireland Monastery of Lorenz. in the eastern, in the western Mediterranean, and Lorenz had connections with the east through John Cassian at Marseille. Cilfoth we've mentioned. Wilfrid of York, an unpleasant person, but he went to Rome several times and brought back all sorts of stuff, connections. So it isn't a question of a monk in a monastery cut off from the world. It's a person who is in the stream of things. His abbey was a gift from King Egfrith of Northumbria, who was present for the consecration of the abbey and chose a place for the altar to be placed. It was also in the connection of political life in Northumbria of the time, hence the letter to Egbert, giving Bede's rather caustic comments about the state of life in Northumbria of his time. It's worth reading to find the politically incorrect things that a monk will say. Sir?
Did I understand you hear this correctly? That so when Bede is quoting other sources, he typically does not say, "I got this." Is that
in his history? He does give his sources. In his biblical commentaries, in one commentary, he says, "I have put marginal notes for Augustine, St. Ambrose, St. Gregory, and St. Jerome. Please recopy them." But mostly it's...
mostly? Yeah, because I was thinking, more familiar with oral tradition.
Mm-hmm.
He certainly does name his sources quite proudly, like in the life of Cuthbert.
Yes.
So.
But in his biblical
So
commentaries...
it's an interesting
difference.
Interesting habit.
Mm-hmm. One scholar said Bede is the father of footnotes. And footnotes are wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. Other questions, comments? From left field, right field, from above the sky. Anyone has fallen asleep yet?
You may not get to meet another expert on Bede for some time, so take advantage of this.
I don't know what you have in the University of Toronto these days. I was here 40 years ago, which is a long time. There was a scholar at the Pontifical Institute named Father Boyle, who went to Rome to become prefect of the Vatican Libraries. I think it was Boyle, and not Doyle. He was a Dominican, and he would know all sorts of interesting stuff. And he certainly proved it when I took his paleography course. His sidelines were wonderful. He was invited by the local censorship board to go and view a new Italian pornographic movie. Because he knew Italian. Of course he knew Italian. And he told his class he had seen the movie and he found it very boring. Beware of professors with a sense of humor. You don't remember what they were supposed to teach you.
So near the end, you were talking about that you could speculate.
I love speculation.
Right. So it's possible that that book was actually brought to the Abbey itself.
Mm-hmm.
So have you received criticism with regard to that speculation, or is it's just a speculation?
No one has commented on my Sobernost articles that I know of, so I do not know. There's a problem, though, with the libraries of Canterbury and Jarrow and Wearmouth. The books no longer exist, for the most part. There are exceptions. We tend to blame it on Vikings, fires, and theft. There are, in that book that I've told you about, Gneis and Lepidge's Anglo-Saxon manuscripts, there's references to at least 8 books that have a provenance in Jarrow and Wearmouth. I found those while I was killing time in the departure lounge in Heathrow. There may be more. But amongst those 8 books are the Leningrad Bede and the Codex Amiatinus, a codex of the whole Bible, which was supposed to go to the Pope in Rome but ended up in a library in Italy. Cilfoth was taking it to Rome when he died. He died of illness and old age somewhere in France.
Long.
Yeah.
September 25th, 716.
Thank you. There is your other expert on Bede.
What is my patron saint?
Have we concluded our time?
I think so.
Thank you.
Yeah, just give a shout out to, you mentioned Father James Siemens.
Do you know the man?
Yeah, so we know each other by, as it were, by mutual reputation, I guess. He's a Ukrainian Greek Catholic priest in Cardiff who runs Eastern Christian Chaplaincy at the university there, father of 10 kids.
8.
And 8, okay.
7 boys and 1 girl.
There we go. And he's an extremely avid cyclist. I've followed with interest his cycling adventures, inspiring me, my own. And so we have the lovely collaboration not only between the Institute and the Orthodox Theology, but this collaboration and scholarship between OCA and the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church in things as arcane as Theodore of Tarsus and the presence of Dionysius and Bede. So sort of serendipitous. Please join me in thanking them both.
Thank you for the opportunity.